Hey y'all, it's your captain for all things creative coming at you with some Real Housewives of Potomac news, a little bit talk about the last part of the finale, and of course, just, check it in. So if you're new to this channel, welcome. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you're returning, thank you so much for rocking with us. You already know how we do. So speaking of Bravo news, most of it is Potomac related, but I will say that we found out that Alexia and Todd is headed to divorce court, which is not surprising if you believe my girl Adriana all along. But the Real Housewives of Potomac news that came out today that also wasn't so surprising was Robin confirmed that she was given the can, and she said it was a network decision, and her, I believe, originally Shady podcast, and also I believe she talked to people as well. And the Jasmine Brown is now saying that Nneka is also getting the chop. So these two, I remember them sitting down at the beginning of this season talking about if Wendy's mama was doing voodoo. And now look at this. Them two might have to be standing in the child line. Hopefully don't get to that. But they're not going to be on Bravo anymore for now. Also, Candice has some news. Drum roll, please. Miss Mama and Chris Bassett are expecting. So the news came out today, and I kind of suspected it, especially, since she had that scene this season where she was crying, saying she want to have a baby, and she's been, going through the IVF journey, and she's gone to counseling, even though she was saying she wasn't sure if she, was ready to have a child at first. Now, they've been blessed. So congratulations to Candice and Chris. I am so glad that, they are growing their family, and I'm glad she's doing it in peace and away from these women who really have just really terrible feelings about Candice. But we'll get into that at the reunion. So shout out to Candice. And now let's talk about this reunion. Was a mess, but there were some people that still, did their thing. I would shout out to G first and then K, because basically part three starts off with G kind of bravely admitting that he has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And he talked about basically having, these manic episodes and ended up going to the hospital. And basically admitting that, part of the reason why his siblings took away the CEO position was because, he was doing things in the manic episode that sometimes he didn't even remember. And he was just really raw and candid about it. And things like what G did helps take away the stigma from mental health, and it helps normalize it. And I'm so glad that, he did share his story without shame, and Mia was there for him, and it was really emotional. And I'm telling you, these two, they've got what it takes to be stars for a long time. Also, Mia apparently, he said, was checking on him basically every day when he was in the hospital, bringing his clothes. And Mia said she will always have his back. And I was like, why is this struggle growing on me? Like, I'm kind of here for it. After that, Wendy versus Nneka happened. And really, the most interesting part of that scene was not even when he talked to Nneka. It was Wendy checking Ashley, because basically, Wendy told Ashley, listen, since you had all that mouth and all that messy energy about yourself, calling yourself, bringing up the Osu allegations, why don't you sit there and explain what Osu is since you brought it up? And then when Nneka tried to answer, Wendy was like, not you. I'm talking to Ashley. Ashley, go ahead and answer. And then Ashley sat there in her mess, quiet, on mute, face cracked. And then she finally admitted that, yeah, she didn't know what she was talking about. And when it was like, exactly. And then even Nneka admitted that she don't even have the range to talk about it, and it's very taboo. So, they all decide to, back out of that situation. And even Andy tried to vindicate Bravo for all the xenophobia this season by saying that, well, when the season had aired and when they invited NECA, they didn't know about any of the shrine conversations and talk. So really, you could see Andy trying to wash his hands of everything. And again, I'm glad Wendy actually put Ashley's feet to the fire because Ashley started the whole thing. But NECA was still basically trying to say Wendy tried to ice her out and all these things. But the thing is, Wendy's not even friends with most of these girls. Yes, Andy put on blast, and Wendy admitted that she did not know NECA. So when producers approached her about, being the one to introduce NECA, she said basically, the producers told her that NECA said that she, already knew her. And Wendy's like, well, I don't know her. So I think, if anything, the producers probably made Wendy think that NECA was name dropping and clout chasing off of her. And that's when Wendy kind of drew a line and said, I was like, no, I don't know her. I don't let her, clout chase off of me. But what she didn't know was that Bravo already wanted her, apparently, for Married to Medicine at one point. So they were going to put her on the show regardless. And that's how she ended up as Ashley's friend. And that's how the other beef got started outside of, Ashley being messy, bringing up the whole stuff. So, next, you see Wendy's package. And I felt it was super unflattering. I feel like, especially compared to Giselle, where they humanized her a lot, even though she was like really bitchy to all the girls. They showed every scene with Wendy being condescending and giving attitude, and then there are questions about her candles and whatnot. And she explains that she's still gonna be selling candles, but she actually might not still be teaching since her daughter's turning 5 and she's doing her YouTube show. And she said the first episode was over budget and it's harder than she thought, but she's sticking with that. And then the next big thing is actually Ashley's package, where they talk about her non-divorced and they show the fight all over again. And this is where all the controversy was coming in from since before the episode aired, because they showed the clips, which are now famous now, of Giselle blaming Candice, Wendy, Deborah, and Kay. And after all those flashbacks, including what Bravo had concerning the fight, Ashley talks about her divorce being fake, and she says that well, at that time, she kept being sucked back into some toxic cycles with Michael, but she says that now she is seeing someone who doesn't want kids. And she said that Michael did go away with somebody on Valentine's Day, so he's probably moved on. And she said that now she's ready to file her divorce complaint. Then she says she charged her boobs on Michael's Amex. And when they got into the fight talk, Mia says that Deborah actually tried to press her too, and Bravo shows clips of that because Mia had called her like a 4 out of 10. And then Mia said that, yeah, Deborah actually came up to her. I was like, what, you saying I was a 4? And Mia says she de-escalated it, by flattering Deborah and telling her that, she's a black queen and that they all 10s. So Mia said she knew Deborah was on some, mess, but she had the wherewithal to de-escalate things, whereas Candice, when, Deborah came up to her, she said, get away from me, vermin, basically. So in some sense, Candice was, trying to avoid Deborah, but she was frustrated and she name called. Personally, I don't think she should have name called. Again, I don't like when none of them girls, call each other it, thing, vermin, whatever. Shout out to Karen for saying varmint. I was like, that's a southern thing. But at the end of the day, Deborah had no right putting her hands on anybody, period. And Candice just looked so sad. She was defending herself and she started crying, and then they had just like a gang up against her about picking up the bottle. She was like, it was self-defense. And then even Karen was saying, why, when did you call her vermin or varmint? How did it happen? And then Mia said she should have name called. And then, Ashley, she been had a clip saying that Candice's words are going to keep getting her in trouble. And this is just something that's going to be very sad, because at the end of the day, housewives always read each other. They always say things that they shouldn't, but the expectation shouldn't be, especially in this setting, that they fight, because apparently, at least to me, housewives is kind of like the new school lifestyles of the rich and famous. They don't usually fight. It's not Bad Girls Club. So it's a good thing that, Candice is getting away from the situation. She's going to go have her baby and be happily ever after. So just say how you felt about the episode, and remember, you're the master of your fate and the captain of your soul. Bye.